So he's a faculty member at Northeastern Ohio Medical University and a faculty member there. He earned his PhD from the University of Kentucky in 2003. And he did a postdoctoral training here at the University of Kentucky in the College of Pharmacy and then also at Iowa. Prior to his current position at Northeast Ohio Medical University, he was a formulation scientist and later became a formulation team leader at a pharmaceutical company. He's a recipient of many academic and industrial innovation awards, including Elsevier's Top 10 Most Cited Paper and Technical Excellence Award. Dr. Oyewumi has authored or co-authored over 90 peer-reviewed publications, abstracts, presentations, and 10 industrial technical papers, and recently received the prestigious Eastern Ohio Medical University Faculty Award of 2015. We'd like to thank you for being here today with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And so, for my first question, you can answer this either through the lens of your position as a faculty member, or at your time in industry. Just kind of what does your average day or week look like? Being a faculty member and a chair of the department.
Thank you so much, Jack. What I realize is that when you start your career, you really need to put in time. So it's important to get all your family, everybody around you involved to know at the beginning you may not have that much flexibility. When I was in the industry, you really do not have so many opportunities to make a good impression. So you have to make that very good impression to be very excellent. So when I was recruited, I wanted to really be sure that I contribute. I'm not just someone just kind of collecting paychecks. So what are the projects, what are the targets, what my supervisor and department want us to work on. So you really put in your best and be ready to volunteer when there are opportunity for people to work extra. Opportunity for that, of course, in the industry, you sign up for that. They will pay you for that, but you'll be surprised. Many people will say, no, I'm going to enjoy my time off. I'm not going to come and do anything. So the time at the beginning is not that flexible, and then in academia it's not flexible when you don't have tenure. You want to really prove yourself. You're on your own in academia because you have your own lab. So you really need to develop your own research portfolio. So you put in time, but it gets better. It gets better when you then progress in your career in the industry. You have that flexibility. You will attend several meetings. You will be traveling, a few opportunities to travel outside the country, different projects. So you have that flexibility as you progress in your career. The same in academia. You're going to have flexibility as you progress. The worst thing that can happen is to start kind of seeking for flexibility when you've not really built a good starting point, a platform to build that on. So right now, to quickly answer your question, right now I work typical hour. I get to the office 8:30 or 9, then I work till 5 or 6. But I work longer if I'm writing a grant or if I will need to submit a manuscript. Like right now, the people in my lab, they have all sorts of manuscript for me to finalize. Then I work longer. But I have flexibility now. So I don't know whether I answered the question.
Perfect. So is that flexibility you mentioned, is that kind of what drew you to transfer back into academia from industry, or kind of what was the catalyst there?
Oh, I thank you, Jack, for that question. When I was here, the big thing then when I was here, I graduated 2003. Was to go to industry because you need so much money. So all of us were all rooting to go to the industry. So I did that. Very, very interesting, very intriguing. It's very good to work in industry. You'll be part of something concrete. But then after I did that, I was actually really thinking for flexibility for me to pursue research questions that I had in mind. In the industry, usually there are projects that you are assigned and you have to push that project along to development. Very rarely would they allow you to start asking academic questions or some discovery not pertaining to what they want to do. So I was assigned a big project, and then while we were pushing it to development, I realized that I could come up with another project from that big project in a different disease model, but then the industry wasn't really focused on that at that time. So they said, well, just let us get this our product out because we want to make money. So I started asking all these questions that I would love to be back to academia to be able to pursue some of these questions. So I did. But the good thing about academia or my position now is that because I worked in industry before, I'm not actually out of industry because I consult with so many industries. I work with so many startup companies. So that experience turned out to really work in my advantage, in my favor right now. So I'm different from other faculty members that just stay in academia. I've actually worked and I can kind of interact with people from both sides. So that is a big advantage.
So what are some of the differences as being a faculty member and working with industry versus working within industry?
The difference will be when you a faculty member, you work with industry. One, a faculty member will have a lab. You have the opportunity to develop your own ideas because you really need all these to be able to interact with industry. So let's say you are an expert in the following skill set. You can do you can offer some services for them, or there's a company right now that it's a startup company. They really do not know how to even begin, what to even do, the clinical development steps. So you can come in and actually support them and be an expert oversight over their procedure. So you have your flexibility as in the academia. You are still part of clinical development. You are still able to do more than just the academia. And then in industry, however, it's so relaxed in industry though, because you don't need to pursue grant funding. You don't need to write, for money. So as a scientist in industry, just come, just do your job and just go. You don't need to be looking for any money for your lab. So that is the major difference. The work in industry is very interesting and very fascinating. I know so many people in industry that develop the COVID-19 vaccine. You see all those lipid nanoparticles and things part of it, and then the platform that they use. So many things that imagine how they would feel. They would be very fulfilled to have been part of such very groundbreaking, revolutionary vaccine platform that we currently use. So it's very fulfilling. So I think overall, my message for everyone in graduate school is to try to know who you are, try to find out what will appeal to you the most, try to keep your options open, don't close any door as you're in graduate school, so that you can at least pursue any option you want, and if you don't want that, you can, that will always lead you to another option, because they are all kind of connected somehow. The careers are connected.
Awesome. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what are some of the current projects that are going on here lab now? Okay. My area is drug delivery. I work with Dr. Ross Monka when I was here. We have a number of projects right now. We're working on a project for developing a novel osteogenic protein for bone regeneration in cases where people have osteoporosis or cases of fracture. You want to accelerate the bone regeneration. And then we have a bunch of support funding for lung cancer projects that we're working on.
We've been very fortunate to get funding in different projects where people just kind of partner with us to come and do one thing or the other. So we also have a big project trying to understand and to see the best way to prevent and to kind of keep lung cancer from invading bone. We want to understand the interface between lung cancer and bone and be able to see what's the best way to combat that. Because what happens with lung cancer is that the moment you detect lung cancer, it's already too late. It's already stage 4. We try to see what are some of the ways we catch and detect lung cancer at early stages, stage 1 or stage 2. So those are some of the things we're doing right now to see. We've also worked extensively on how to develop delivery systems for Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, because in my department over there in UMEC, we have so much strength around neurodegenerative disease. So we have a whole collective cluster of researchers working in this area as well.
Thank you. So what skills or preparations, either through your graduate experience here at the University of Kentucky or industry, have really helped you, in your role being a faculty member at the university? So many things that I really enjoy the training here, and part of it is you have to be able to prioritize, to really know, because you're going to juggle many things. When I see graduate students just focus on one thing at a time, that is not typical when you graduate, like, oh, I'm just preparing for my candidacy now for like a month or 2. I'm just doing this now. I'm just doing that now. I train graduate students and I always kind of let them know, you may do this at this stage a little bit, but don't get too used to it, because when you finish with a PhD, nobody's going to give you only one project or one thing you're doing at a time. So you have to be able to plan and say, when is the deadline for that one? And when can I actually, what can I do first? What will come next? Because you're going to juggle many things. So you have to be prepared for that. Another thing you have to be prepared for is to know how to work with people. I have seen in my journey, in my career journey, many people that are not even able to coexist with lab mates. When they're in grad school, it's then going to be difficult for them when they graduate to work. Let's say in industry, if you're interested in industry, you're going to work together with people. You're not going to, nobody can develop a drug or a product just by himself or herself, just pushing it through. You're going to actually do your own part. Someone else will come and and take it from there and kind of collaborate it. So you have to learn to work together with people. You need to be able to write. You should spend time to brush that, to really develop that and let that be really clean up. What I realize is that often in graduate school, people work with their advisors and then they don't take the instruction. When the advisor says, go do this again, then the advisor is tired and say, oh, okay, then that's fine. It is good you spend your time and allow your advisor to give you critiques that you need right now to really develop that skill of writing. You will need it for the rest of your career. Let's say you work in industry and you're just very good in writing, that would be very useful for FDA. When your company is trying to make submission to FDA, your supervisor will quickly saying that, oh, this person writes very well. That is how you will really start rising. When it comes to workplace, it depends on how much skills you bring in and that will make you rise. If you really come with little or no skills when it comes to writing, it will really put you way back when it comes to
I think those are some of the key ones that I will say, right now. I don't know whether I'm missing something from your question, but if for the, okay.
Thank you. So, being chair of the department, I see you play some role in curating, new faculty members. So it's kind of a three-parter. What are some characteristics that you look for in hiring faculty, or if personally in your lab, postdoc, or choosing a graduate student, offering them a position in your lab?
One thing, when it comes to faculty power, right now we're in the process of recruiting a few faculty members. We're doing that right now. When it comes to faculty member, we try to check a good fit to be sure that they will come in and they will really fit very well. We want to be sure that they will be good citizens there, because the last thing we want will be disruptive behavior. So back to you guys now. When you are in school, often people think that they are not being interviewed for their position every day. As you are in school right now, you're being interviewed somehow, because your advisor will be able to speak as to how you work. Your colleagues, they know who you are. Most of the people that I was here with, they're in different places now. They invite me, I invite them. We'll actually kind of form opinion as to how somebody works from working with them. So you really need a good network there that will help you, be it in the faculty recruitment, because I like to kind of check their network and find out information about them before we make such a big investment and recruit them. If it is tenure track position, we need to look for a big package for them to set up their lab. Is that going to be very rewarding investment or not? We really need to know. So it's not only the interview that you convince someone. Your track record will be something that will really seal the deal. I say, oh, the person has been known to be very consistently hardworking. So that's that. Also for postdoc or what the other starting position, I try to check someone that is very smart and really be trained in any new skills, and they will take it. Because although I'm okay if somebody is bringing some skills, but I also want people to be trainable so that we can quickly show them or pose a research question and they will run with it. So those are some of the things that I
So with your postdocs, how do you gauge their trainability? It seems a little bit easier with a rotating graduate student. They're with you 3 months, but what are some of the things that you look for in the interview process to kind of tease out some of those skills?
Good. So I'm always, maybe because of my own PhD training when I was in here. When I was in here, I was involved in multiple projects. Not only just one project, not only just that, I was involved, and I think if opportunity should be offered to you to actually contribute or work with someone else on something, try to do that, because it will show that this is, you have your main project, but there is this other study that you contributed something. So that means you already open yourself up that you are no one-way traffic. I am just this is all that I do. This is all that I know. And never in your career have you contributed something outside of that. I think I will be hesitating that maybe the person will not be able to make any contribution in any other field apart from just what you've been doing. So I check that. If someone then is worked on a few projects, not only just one, then I try to see their ability to address issues around that other project. I go off of that. And again, I make phone calls a lot. I check their references, I check people they've worked with, I try to know many projects that they've worked and what it is.
So what do you wish somebody had told you prior to completion of your graduate training? Some advice you give to all of us.
Yeah, when I was here, I wish people told me the importance of professional network. Professional network, often when you're in graduate school, you stay in your lab. And I did that. With a good friend of mine who is a professor in Austin, Texas now. We will be in the lab before 8, pipetting away, enjoying our research. We will not leave the lab till 6, and then we'll leave and we were on campus here. And then immediately after dinner, we'll return to the lab. We are really enjoying research. We are enjoying our graduate study. But then one thing that is crucial is to get to know your classmates, get to build professional network, get to know your professors. Often you just interact with your advisor and other professors in the department, they don't even know you. They don't even know, you don't even interact with them, you don't even greet them. So you never know who will really be that professional network person that you need when you finish it. So let them know who you are, let people really know what you're doing. So that network is very important because you build on that when you finish from here. So that is one thing I wish people inform me, that you learn not only from your research or your advisor, but you learn from this whole facility and the people in here. They will really be that very strong network.
I guess you can answer this for both your industry positions and your academic position. What was in both cases, kind of the most surprisingly difficult part? What's the thing that you struggled with that you didn't really think you would?
The industry part, if I start with the industry part, is that it is very, very competitive, and you really, there is a business involved. Often people don't really know that if you don't deliver, you will be out. So you might have a colleague that maybe gets a job in industry and they just don't deliver. If you assign a task and you don't deliver, you may not have so much time for you to prove to them that is what their investment is. So you have to be diligent to do thorough job and be meticulous as well. In the academia one, the aspect that you already know is the fact that anyone that has a lab must look for money to sustain that lab and to pay people. In our school, I don't know whether I think it's similar here. The faculty will have to pay the staff. They pay for it, they pay for that. So every time you see your professor kind of thinking, they actually ensuring that the lab has enough money to pay all of you. So that is why it's always good to do your best to support the lab that they do PhD, because it's a symbiotic relationship. You are there to get your PhD, or you're there as a postdoc. At the same time, let that lab also get quality data that they could use also to look for money, and so that the lab is comfortable, you're comfortable, you're getting your training. So, so definitely when it comes to grant writing, looking for money to sustain a lab without money is closed, is finished. Yeah.
You kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. You mentioned sometimes having to work more or less, but I'm curious to how your work-life balance has evolved through the years. I know it's been I struggle a lot with, especially during COVID. Kind of work from home. How have you been able to separate those two things, and how has that changed over time?
Yeah. Work-life balance is something to watch out for. In industry, I recall when I was there, I was senior VP who kind of gauge you when you are in there if you are the type that will be available to work outside of this time. Who kind of say, could you get me this? You just all of a sudden realize that you're working even to kind of get ready for work, and you are at home but you work or weekend and all that. But then what I was doing then was when in industry, very easy in industry to at least be sure you close, you go home, and you do other things. To kind of form to have that discipline to be able to kind of separate. Part of the reason for that is that so that you can refresh your mind and be innovative when you come to work. I realize that it's difficult for me to be creative if I'm tired. And in industry, I was successful to be able to get a couple of patents. Kind of you need creative thinking to be able to come up with something that will solve a problem rather than there's a difference between you just walk for walking or you actually do something concrete that is meaningful, or you have spent time and then there is nothing. So I try to have that break and have that balance. In the academia, though, it's difficult at the beginning to really have a whole lot of free time. But then it's very rewarding at the end because once you're able to have that foundation, you will actually have that separate work-life balance. But I think the important thing is that if you have a family, you need to inform them as to where you are in your career. You might need more time. You might work that Saturday as a junior faculty member. That's even Sunday as a junior faculty member. But it gets better. It gets better. Once you have more people working for you in the lab, so your own role would then change. So you don't really need to be doing that. So I believe it's important to have work-life balance, but it's good to actually carry your family or loved ones along so that they know the stage you are in and so that they can walk alongside with you and celebrate with you as you kind of have more flexibility.
You might speak a little bit more to what goes into starting up a lab, at a academic institution.
What goes into if a faculty is recruited, you need to have completed a postdoc. If you are seeking to be a faculty member, they will seek that you have a postdoctoral fellowship. During the postdoc, you try to do more during your postdoc to observe your advisor and postdoc advisor and see and ask them about the business of running a lab. It's an aspect I think they don't teach you in graduate school. You don't even have the time that much in graduate school, but during postdoc is when you can say, so how are you able to really pursue all this funding? What do you do? So they may even introduce you to some funding opportunities for postdoc. You try to write grants. So you need to know how to write grants because that's the business aspect. You need to know how to look for money. And in addition to grant to federal agencies, you also need to know we benefit from that in my institution. A number of people around, philanthropic donations also are there that people are willing to really support research. You need to know them when you need to pursue those. How do you go about those? You need to learn how to do that because you can supplement federal money with philanthropic dollars. So you need that business training. And then another one is how do you really even maintain and recruit people for your lab? Because often you have money that they give you to start, so you get a postdoc, you get a technician, and all that. So you need to plan that out as well. So it's important to kind of know more about the business of running a lab to be successful.
So what do you feel is the biggest obstacle or challenge current graduate students face? And then how do you think we can prepare for those challenges?
The challenges that I think graduate students face is the fact that, as I touched on this earlier, in that when you are out to look for a position after your graduate education, you really need to be able to offer something for the people recruiting as to what problem do they have that you can solve for them. What problem do they have that you can solve for them? If you're because you become an expert as a PhD holder, or when you have earned your PhD, you are an expert in your field. So when they bring you in, They want you to kind of weigh in or work on something. So often when you are in grad school, you really do not know that you should try to put in your best now when you are in school. Learn as many techniques in your lab as possible, partner with so many people so that it will pay off for you eventually. When you then get that position, you'll be that person that you could do so much for your employer. You could actually really grow. You will grow if you're able to contribute very well. Not just because you have a PhD that somebody will just start paying you because you just have a PhD. You'll be evaluated regularly as to what you contributed, be it in academia or industry. So it's something to learn while in graduate school that you will be held accountable for any position you're offered. And then, so you should practice that now to start kind of working with your advisor and say, what do you want me to do? This is the plan. Have a plan, be organized, be able to write, be able to go back to your advisor and you simulate what you're going to do out there with your advisor right now and start kind of working through that right now so that you don't have a long learning curve when you get out there. So that would be something that I think they don't really share that a lot in that school.
So thinking more kind of from an industry perspective, what were some of the entry-level starting jobs that were available at a pharmaceutical company? And what were their roles? What was your early life in industry like?
Oh yeah, so many jobs, and even now I think there's so many jobs in the industry. Most of the graduate students that finish in my lab in industry now, they work in industry. And I think many people tend to come to my lab to do PhD because of the fact that I used to work in industry and I can actually prepare them during the PhD for that. Some of all that I'm sharing with you right from the beginning, you get them to, so that when they graduate, it will be very easy for them to go to industry. So many entry-level positions are there in industry. In my field, formulation sciences, they recruit scientists a lot to come in. They just come here to help them on a big project. So that means you might join other formulation scientists. Or maybe they want to start a new project, then they may assign you to kind of pioneer that and take a lead. Or if you work in a company that is a generic company, for generic company, usually they have multiple projects that they just, any drug coming off patent, they want quickly to get a formulation scientist to start working on those, developing those. So what it will entail when you come in is you need a lot of documentation, you need a lot of GMP training. When I was here as a student, they had the, is it called CPST? Yeah, CPST, yes. Yeah, we had the CPST near the College of Pharmacy there. And that helped us a lot because we were introduced to GMP, we're trained in the GMP environment so that we already could put that on our CV. And so many people then coming and competing for position. That GMP training is very important because often some people just do not know the best way to maintain GMP. That's, I think, a lot of entry-level positions are there to quickly answer the question, just to kind of start off, develop maybe new formulation, improve old formulations, or do stability studies, or develop assays, or push something for clinical development. Because you could do preclinical or you could do clinical in industry. Very interesting, very rewarding, very good atmosphere.
So you can answer this. I'll ask both in terms of your field and then also academia as a whole. How over the last 10 years or so have you seen your field and academia as a whole evolve and change?
Generally, I think the field is changing. The field is changing. Take, for instance, now with the ongoing pandemic and vaccine delivery, I wrote a review article when I got to Neomed initially with a friend of mine who were classmates. So that review article is been cited a lot because when I was here, my advisor was working on vaccine delivery as well. Nanotechnology for vaccine delivery, immunization, and all that. So we wrote a review article that many people are citing now when it comes to nanotechnology and vaccine delivery. So the field is changing. Then when we were doing nanotechnology, when I was here, that was very new then. Like, oh, who had maybe 1 or 2 labs doing nanotechnology on campus here. But now, of course, that is an old story now. But the field right now, for people that are really looking at medication usage, what I am looking at right now is that we see in medication usage, one size fits all approach is being used. Physicians just prescribe, not based on individual genetic composition or makeup. Pharmacogenomics field is really building up now, and then we still don't apply it fully when it comes to medication or dosing or setting the dose for patient. So I am thinking then in the future, precision medicine will be the order of the day. It will not just be one size fits all. People will be prescribed medication based on their genetic, makeup and composition. To take the field of pain medication, for instance, that is a problem that is leading into all this addiction, all that ineffectiveness, in that you prescribe the same dose for different patients, not knowing that someone, depending on their pain tolerance, might need more of the pain medication or very low dose, depending. If you give so much to someone that needs low dose, that can lead into tolerant addiction. They're getting more than they need. If you give very so low to someone that needs more, then they still in pain. And then you see patient in the hospital kind of still in pain, and then the healthcare worker say, no, I'm not going to give you more. That is the dose. I have to give you this dose. So I see right now the field will have to take it further into individual precision medicine. And that, I believe, we will have no choice but to get into that field of how do we ensure dosing is matching patient rather than just use some general parameters.
So kind of building on the personalized medicine, how do you see like drug delivery fitting within that story?
Drug delivery is needed big time. In fact, we wrote a review on that. It's needed big time because we know that for medication usage, you need drug delivery to be able to either specialize or target or deliver or control the release of the drug, and then to reduce the side effect. So what kind of drug delivery then we'll be thinking of will be things like 3D printing. I do not think then we'll be doing traditional drug delivery, but then if you want to do precision medication, you have to do 3D printing, either scaffold or platform that drug will be embedded in situ, and to be able to get that to patient. So the field of drug delivery will also evolve into things that can go alongside precision medicine, because the standardized traditional drug delivery system will not really work as we go into precision medicine. We have challenges to that because then we'll not be able to accommodate individualistic approach to medication.
Well, that's all my questions. I do want to take some time to open it up to anybody who's here to ask any questions. I have no further.
You had emphasized skills earlier. Throughout your time in industry, what are some strategies?
Oh, very good question. Very good question. Depending on in any case you look at it, it's not that easy to work. There are some people that are very easy to work with. Some people are not. But then you have no choice. In most cases, some of the people, you're going nowhere. You have to work together. So what I think is important is to ensure that people are really shown that they will be recognized for their work. Now, as someone leading the department, I do my best to ensure that when people labor to do something, that is not buried or there is that recognition for their work. Because if that is lost in a team environment, often people might feel, but I did that, but then now I don't have any recognition for that. Because even though you might work as a team, maybe to assemble this table in here, but then your role in there, anyone really overseeing that should be able to say, I recognize you did that. And then you give that recognition for individual contribution as a part of the team. Because people get a little bit kind of not fulfilled when in a team environment, whatever they have labored, nobody sees, nobody cares. Somebody is getting the reward for that. So that is that. So I like to create the atmosphere that even though we're saying team environment, working together, some people will work very, very hard. Some people will kind of tag along. I try to recognize everyone, but at the same time, to really see the individual contribution to the team. So that if you create that atmosphere, everybody will feel very at ease and relaxed. But then you could run into challenging situations where your work, you have done something 100%, and somebody comes to say, let me just help you just get the stapler to staple your report. So then we both did. That is very, I have been part of this kind of scenario in my career where you work night and day, the boss, the supervisor is asking you for the report, you will type it, somebody just say, oh, I can get you stapler. And then now, will you put my name that the two of us actually wrote this report? So that will happen as well. So I try as a supervisor to really hold people accountable and to not leave people into this kind of stressful situation, because now they have to make a call. And if you make a call and say, no, I did it, you might start fighting with your colleague, and that work environment might be tense. I try as much as possible to ensure that right from when you begin, I know you are the one working on. If that is going to be your own, you're going to do it 100%, and then afterwards, then you join other people. So I know what you're supposed to do. I know what you're working on. So that if anybody should come and then hijack it, you will not left alone to fend for yourself. But overall, I like an atmosphere where people are relaxed, knowing that whatever contribution will be recognized and they will be an important part of a team. But it's not easy, but you have to develop this little by little. With a good mentor, you should be able to do it well. Yeah.
So in terms of hiring prospects, some of these faculty positions, they require like so number of first author papers in hiring faculty journals. But you also touched on the need for collaboration and stuff. So do you foresee in future that the weightage of first author papers are going to go down? Because if everyone's collaborating, then who's going to be the first author of each paper, and so on and so forth. So do you foresee in future if we really want to move along with science and do good science, we definitely need to collaborate. So do you foresee that such requirements for the need to first author. It being a requirement to have a minority position to have less weightage.
Very good question. Very good question. Publications are very important. They're very, very important. So don't discount that now in the graduate school or a postdoc, because there's no other way clearly out there that people can kind of gauge how productive you've been. If 2 years postdoc, they see nothing. So I worked on this project, but then they don't see anything. Another aspect is the post author also. Post author papers are also very important when you're beginning your career, because that would show everyone you actually did the heavy lifting. Even other people could collaborate, but you carry a big workload for that project. So when you collaborate, I think it's good to have a combination of first author and then collaborative. It is very risky to only have collaborative and you are not first author at all. Guess what? Out there, people just look and say, oh, you have all these publications, but none first author. It's like on your own, you didn't really put it together, because there are so many things you expect from a first author. They do the bulk of the experiment. They actually put the data together. They did the initial analysis of the data, and then the advisor will work with that. And then they wrote the paper. That's all those you need to demonstrate for first author. So you need a combination. I think it's good to have a combination. Right now, my lab, we collaborate a lot, but we still have our own project that we're working on, we collaborate. It's good to kind of have a mixture of the two. That would be my advice. Yes.
How do you feel about first co-author?
Oh, that is fine. That is very fine. If you indicate there that it's called, it's joined, that is very fine. It will be seen as such, like the two people did the same. They share the workload. That is very fine. Yes.
Don't mind, sorry. And Jack had asked about essential skills to your current job. You mentioned a lot of soft skills. Are there any skills that you think are essential for current athletes to have, especially with mentioned precision medicine, but any hard skills that really
Oh yeah. I didn't focus on those because I know anyone in graduate school from my days here, there are some core competency before you even get your candidacy before. So that's why I didn't mention those, because we all focus on those. So when I mention and I emphasize on all those soft skills, please by all means don't discount the core. That core, just let it be there. I was just talking about icing on the cake of those very core competencies and skills that will really let you stand out. But not like you are not going to have anything underneath that, all the soft skills. And then you have a PhD, or you completed your postdoc, and then you cannot do A, you cannot do B. It will be like, then it's difficult to actually make any progress. So I'm expecting that whatever you do right now, you do your best, and you know that you put in your best. And in addition to that, you try to put all those soft skills so that then you'll be well-rounded and well-suited for any career that you want to pursue.
I do have another question.
Yes.
As we're talking, kind of going back to publications, is there, I know programs are different, labs are different, but when you're hiring a postdoc, is there kind of a number you look for, especially if the students coming out of a PhD program when they just graduated? Is there like a hard number you look for in terms of papers published?
Very good question. Very good question. Because this causes challenge for graduate students a lot, because depending on the lab you're in, you may publish a lot, or you may just maybe not publish a lot. Because your ability to publish is dependent on one, your professor, the attitude of the professor to get information out. Sometimes a student might not really be given that permission to publish a lot. And I've had cases like that where graduate student that published a lot, 12 papers, before finishing PhD. I had another graduate student that published, 7. And then I got a graduate student that just finished early this year that published 2. The reason why that graduate student just published 2 is that the bulk of that work, I do not want to publish them yet. You see, because I want to get patent. So I just kept it. I said, no, we're not reporting that. So I think out there it is clear that your ability to publish will be dependent on so many things, not only, but no matter what you do, though, even the student that I mentioned didn't publish a lot. She still published in 1 or 2. No matter what you do, though, it's important to publish, during your PhD program to really get something, even if it's 1. What is bad is 0 during the PhD. You see other people, at least they have 1, 2. Then it's a little bit difficult to compete if your graduate education fails to lead into even 1 publication. At least try to get your poster presentations. Try to show all those things that will show that you actually if you end up with 0 pay publication and your advisor is okay, for no fault of yours, maybe your advisor, for reason that just shared, wanted to keep your work, or at least you should have done some poster presentations, some review articles. You could review that, so many things you could review with your advisor. Say, during this summer, advisor, can I write a review on this? Guess what? Some people out there will read your review and say, wow, so look at how you really look at the field, and you could write a review, even if your advisor will not publish your original quickly. But then that review will give you that training that I mentioned, right? So you'll be able to get that going as well. So do your best to at least demonstrate that you can write and that you are productive. Yes.
So typically people that do postdocs, the typical people that want to go into academia, you foresee maybe in the future that industries might look at postdoc as like entry requirements in a way that they see like just a PhD as entry requirements?
I don't think so. I think industry, they don't require postdoc. Some they don't. Some people go to do their postdocs in the industry. Another thing that I, during my own time, I finished, I defended, and then I got a job in the industry. So I went to my PhD advisor. I said, oh, I just got this job. I'm going to industry. So Dr. Mokwa said, why don't you go for a postdoc? Why don't you decline that and go for a postdoc? So I pondered, I said, I will go to industry now, just enjoying my career. Now the advisor, I could take the advice or leave it, but then I decided I trust, my advisor. That, because what postdoc will do for you is that it will keep your options open. And that's actually what turned out to be useful for me. Because I did the postdoc, I wouldn't have gotten the academic position without a postdoc. So I did the postdoc, went to industry. So it was easy for me to return to academic. So in my own case, I did that. But it depends on you. If you're sure that you really will not be interested in making a return to academic, industry will always require no postdoc for that skills. You can come and start work. That's the way they are structured.
Are there any other questions? How are you on time?
I think we're there.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And we got to get to over to that side of town with traffic. So I think we probably should wrap up.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Dr. Oyewumi. We really appreciate you taking the time to discuss, your career with us and, imparting some great wisdom. Very thankful for you being here today.
I'm very grateful. Thank you all. I am rooting for you. You'll continue to do great work. It's a great opportunity to be back to campus. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.